So maybe summers will come in, a lot of players already looking to the beach on their holidays, but for you it gets busy now.
Yeah, it does. Actually, I was being driven into the airport this morning and he said, we've got an international break coming up. I said, yeah, I have, but I'm working this time because normally I'll be off. I'm looking forward to it though. It's exciting. We've got a camp in Portugal in a week there. And then we come back to Dublin, of course. We've got Copenhagen, Denmark away, and Gibraltar here. I mean, the first one is a real big game for us, bearing in mind that they drew with Switzerland the last time out, and the results we've had against them. But it's great, it's exciting, I'm looking forward to it, I'm really thrilled by it.
In terms of the camp, obviously with players involved in the playoffs, etc., you know, it's going to be a reduced squad, or there's going to be some people there who may not be involved in the games after that. I mean, who do you think you can bring to Portugal, and what are you expecting from them in that camp?
Oh, there's a bit of a conundrum with some of them. There's Callum O'Dowd, who we don't know how they've been yet, Ronan Curtis, Richard Keogh after the result last night against Swansea. If they'd have won, they'd have been in it. They ended up drawing. Of course, there's two certs already in the fact that the two Villa lads, Conor and Glenn Whelan, they're definitely in it. I was delighted Sheffield United won because I know those three boys can come down from there. Four actually, just with Scott Hogan played and scored. There's a bit of a dilemma in terms of who's going to be there and who will end up in the playoff final. It might be none of them, but I've spoken to the lads and I said, look, if you end up in the semi-final and lose, not to put a negative on it, are you happy to be selected and come to Portugal? Absolutely, every single one of them. So we might end up with 23, we might end up with 25.
You mentioned the willingness of some of the players to come to Portugal even only days after a playoff semi-final. The commitment of the players has impressed you since you've come back.
It has, yes. What's good for me and good for the team, good for the squad, good for everybody, is we won the two games. And you know, if you think about Gibraltar, I've made my comments on that. But the Georgia game, the lads were great, they were excellent. The commitment, the way they played, the way we ended up winning. We could have won by more. I know we had a couple of near misses at the end, but they're a good sign, Georgia. But winning the two games and putting us at the top of the group, they all want to be involved. There's nobody going. They can probably all think already, you know what, we might have a chance here, we might be in the Euro 2020. We've got games where everybody wants to be involved in that, and that's great for all of us.
Do you think they get enough credit for how committed and the quality within that squad?
Look, Carl, it's winning games and playing well, and if you're not, you tend to get criticised. And unfortunately, bearing in mind that we were in the Euros not that long ago, that the next campaign didn't go particularly well, and everybody gets criticised. And I think the players did, some of them probably unfairly. I can only extol the virtues of that. There were from when myself, TC, Robbie Kells came in, we had an instant impact. They reacted to us, and I think everybody could see, certainly the Georgia game, I think we got great support for that game by the way the lads played.
There's a lot made of the fact that when you were playing with Ireland, it was first division players in England, first division players in Scotland, as it was at the time. But now there are Premier League and Championship players in the Irish squad, and even League One, as we saw in the last squad. But perhaps the Championship doesn't get the credit that it deserves, and you know that league inside out.
The Championship's improved no end because of the money that is poured into it by getting promoted when you get 100 million and you come back down with 100 or 96 million as it is to spend on players. So the quality has definitely gone up. But I mean the commitment and work rate and desire, it couldn't have got any better, except maybe the fact that prize of getting promoted, what that does to a club. So maybe that's even upped as well, that desire to get into the Premier League. It's a really tough league. It's a hard one to get out of at the top. It's pretty easy to get out at the bottom. And I think the players, they're not that far away. The players in the Championship are not that far away from the bottom end of the Premier League. And that's where they are. And it doesn't bother me where they come from. My job's to get the best out of them, wherever they come from. Whatever league they're playing in, is to make the whole better than the sum of its parts, if that's what people want to put.
And the buzz that those Sheffield United quartet are going to have.
Yeah, that was great for them. I was delighted. And me being Leeds fan as a kid. I mean, I'm hoping that Leeds, well, I've been hoping they go up. Then I've got Conor Hourihane and Glenn Whelan play. They might end up playing against them, or Richard Keogh playing against them if they're in the playoffs. I was delighted for the Sheffield United lads, for us as well, because they'll all turn up in the camp in Portugal fresh and be buzzing by getting promoted. Did they deserve it though? They've been fantastic. Sheffield United's been a great team this year.
What did you make of that Leeds Aston Villa game?
Oh, lots. I made lots of that. A Leeds fan asked me yesterday, I met him in a service station. He said, do you mind me asking? I said, not at all. And so I went into one, told him what I thought. That the goal, they shouldn't have scored the goal because Villa had stopped. Connor had kicked the ball out once before. They looked like they were going to stop and almost kidded all the Villa lads on. Can I just say, I don't think they should stop. I think they should play on to a certain point. But if ever the game slows down and kick it out, but I think they'd accepted it was going to go out. And they didn't, then they scored, and then that caused an almighty scuffle. And then ensued all the other things that go on, of course. The winger getting sent off, what's his name? Tell me. His name, come back to me. Patrick Bamford getting involved with Connor, pulling him to the ground and then feigning injury. And he looks like in a 2-match ban. The other fella's going to come back, the winger who's not getting a 2-match ban. I think Bielsa was right in letting them score. But here's your dilemma. That position, they probably can't move. I know they have to get a point on Sunday at Ipswich to make sure they're in the third spot. But I thought he'd only got anything to gain by getting a bit of kudos from letting them do it. And I think he was totally right in doing so. But here's your dilemma. 3 minutes to go at Wembley playing Aston Villa, and the same thing happens. You're 1-0 up, 3 minutes to go. Do you send them up the field and let them score? When you know the club's got 100 million for going up, let's assume they go down, they've got another 100 million. Each and every one of your players is probably going to double his contract. You're going to double your contract. Every single Leeds fan around the world is going to want them to go up by hook or by crook, or Villa, either way.
It's a conundrum.
Would I make the same decision again? I'd have made the decision that Bielsa did. I'd have let them go and score, and I thought it was great doing it. Showed great sportsmanship. Would I do it with 3 minutes to go? That's it. That's like I think you'd be out of work. You couldn't carry on working at that football club, could you? Fans would never have you again. If they subsequently went on to lose, wow. There's decisions I don't want to have to make, to be quite honest with you.
Let's look at Denmark. I mean, you've said already, we've recent history with them. They're first up. They came from 3 goals down against Switzerland to get a 3-3 draw. That was quite a performance. Did it do us a favour?
Well, what does it tell you first and foremost? I think Switzerland are a really top team. They've been one of the top teams in Europe for a long time. How did they let a 3-goal lead slip? Denmark, we've always respected them as a really good team, but nevertheless, what was it, 6 minutes towards the end they got back. There's something gone wrong in that game, or I suppose Denmark think there's something gone amazingly right. Those 2 teams are the best 2 teams in the group. I seem to remember upsetting the apple cart before, though, with Yugoslavia, Croatia in a group and finishing, we should have qualified then. Holland and Portugal in the group, and nobody gives us a chance, and we ended up playing in the World Cup. So, despite that, they are the best 2 teams in the group, most successful over recent times. We've just got to do what we do and try and beat them.
The recent results against them, they don't matter for you, or they don't count for you, do they?
No, not at all. Nothing that went on up until me coming in December the 1st really matters to me. I think you can only plan for what I want to do myself and the staff, and it's gone well so far. Don't get me wrong, we've got tougher games to come than the games that we've had, but and Denmark on the 7th of June. That's the excitement of it. I'm looking forward to it.
Gibraltar follows at home, and it's fair to say the Aviva Stadium will be a slightly different surrounding to the last game against Gibraltar.
Well, unless they quarter-to-8 flight to Gatwick takes off and comes roaring past. That was it. I told you I hated the game. I was as nervous prior to that game as any game that I've ever been in. Whether you could tell, whether in the hotel, I don't think so. I kept my persona pretty normal, but inside it was thumping away. Because I could just see it. It was set up, the pitch, the surroundings, the airport, the rock, the 25 knots wind that was blowing across the pitch. A team that had won in the Nations League and started to pick up and were really up for it. Everything was, So to come away with a 1-0 win was brilliant. And the atmosphere will be different in the stadium. So we've got to play better though. We've got to play better than we did at course.
Was it as nervous as you've been in a long time?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for as long as I can remember. Just knowing and understanding the consequences of not winning that game. And I didn't like it. I have to say that I like I love standing there with the national anthem going and being at the game and managing again, managing Ireland. I love the goal going in and I enjoyed the final whistle. And other than that, not at all.
You came home then to the Aviva. I mean, you loved the Aviva as a manager and as a player when you were playing for Ireland in the past, but it was Lansdowne Road in those days.
Yeah.
It's now the Aviva. And that was emotional as well, wasn't it? That whole pre-match, the build-up, your family in the crowd.
It was. Yeah, it was great because, I'm stood outside with you on the pitch. I had to go and have a look at it. The lads are all there. And I could hear my granddaughter Finola shouting down at me, which was lovely to have her and all the family. Because my kids didn't see it all the first time round. They certainly didn't see me playing. And they didn't see me managing, although they came to the World Cup in 2002, but they weren't at all the games and probably didn't understand it as much, So it was lovely to have them there. But it was great going back, which was Lansdowne Road, and I'd had a great record there as a manager. And the only game I lost was Switzerland, my last game, in competitive football, competitive games. So to go back and start with a win was brilliant. And we were up against a good side as well. I thought the lads were great. I thought the lads responded to everything we'd asked them, played really well, competed, and got the result they deserved.
As you said, Mick, you were very rightly proud of your players after that game and throughout that camp, but has dealing with them changed at all since you left in 2002?
So far, I don't think so. I'm just dealing with footballers, and I've evolved from when I took Millwall in 1992, and I've had to evolve all the way through, and whatever changes have been, and I think they've appeared to be subtle changes all the way through. If you miss 5 years and then come back, you might be thinking, oh wow. You could argue I've missed 17 years, 16 years and then come back. But I've been dealing with footballers, still the same. All right, at a different level, but dealing with them in the Championship or the Premier League, then back in the Championship. I just think dealing with people. They are human beings, they are people,
Still.
They are players that I've been dealing with all my career. Is there any change, I guess, agents since the last time I was here? When you asked to try and speak to one of them, I said, well, can I have a word with my agent? No, I said, a word with you, let me talk to you. But I've not had that from any of the players who are playing, who have played for Ireland. So no, I enjoy the interaction with players.
Mobile phones and social media and all has changed a lot since then, don't you? You're not on Twitter, are you, despite rumours to the contrary?
People follow me apparently on my account. And it's such a disappointment. I tell them I'm not on it. Oh, you are? I've been following you for ages. No, I'm not. So people have these, pseudo accounts, false accounts, fake news, fake accounts, that I'm not on it. And I wouldn't be on it. I've got no interest in sending out messages to people, and I've got even less interested in what people want to send me a message. So I won't be on it anytime soon.
Again, you've spoken about this before, but it's a very different. It's very different. Ireland, number one, but it's a very different FAI since 2002, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. When I left in 2002, we were on the back of a really, I'd say, successful World Cup. But things were different in terms of where we trained and where we stayed. And well, Lansdowne Road, as much as I loved it, the Aviva Stadium knocks into a cocked hat. In terms of an arena, it's just fabulous. Sat in Abbottstown at the training ground, and all the facilities that we have, and the way we travel and what we stay, and I guess the professionalism in how we prepare and stay, and what's now in the FAI, night and day, completely different to 2002.
And the backup structure to your team is everything you need, isn't it?
Oh yes. I might say though, in 2002 it was as well. You know, it's only that things have evolved, like I said again, and the backup team was in 2002 were brilliant. You know, I inherited most of the people like from Big Jacks. I worked with them in the past. You know, and I'm not going to stand there because if I do, I'll forget something and that'll upset somebody. But every single one of them were brilliant and helped us achieve what we did in that campaign.
By the time we get to Gibraltar at home, you'll have been 6 months effectively in the job. Has that flown?
Yes, it has. We were just talking there, weren't we? We were back going to Portugal for the camp on the 21st. And I was saying, no, it's 3 weeks. That's not 3 weeks away, we're nearly 2 weeks away. It has, yes. I kind of knew it would when the games start coming around. You seem to have this hiatus in between, and then as it comes, and then they just fly through. But I love it. I love getting together, and I'm looking forward to meeting up with the boys.
And in terms of the change from day to day that you were with club, I know you had a year out, give or take, but then in terms of the waiting, has that changed for you from the last time you were manager, or has it got easier to deal with?
I think it probably has. I mean, I took it at a very tender age of, was I 37? It's probably not a job for a 37-year-old. It's, I'd say for a more mature, older chap, as I am now. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, and I was never going to turn it down, and I wanted to do it then. And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that I've slowed down and just a bit more perspective on it. That it's the job that it is, and you know, I get time to prepare for them to come in, and I'm enjoying it.
How's the pressure washer getting on this weather?
It's been in the garden shed for a while. I'm not had it out now. I'm not been doing any of that.
So you haven't washed the pressure washer of late?
No, that's it's still clean from the last time actually, so I don't need to.
I'm going to bring you back to the Aviva Stadium and the match against the Liverpool legends, and you know, Ronnie Wheeler, for example, took your decision to take him off quite badly. Would that be a fair way to put it? Or?
It's quite badly. You're kidding me on. He was desperate to come off. He said to me, "Leave me on 15 minutes and I'll be all right." Then so I thought I'll give him a bit more. I went to 15, and he's going, "No, I'll leave it on." So then after 20 minutes, I took him off. It was funny. See, that's probably what I see subs coming on now. Players do that, you know. I hope anybody does that for real. I can assure it was a bit of fun.
But it was a great night, the camaraderie, even all the former players coming back together on both sides, and the atmosphere and everything. But you met Sean Cox before, and that was a very moving moment.
It was, yes. The whole evening I thought was brilliant, and I love seeing all the players that I'd worked with before. It was so good to see them. I haven't seen them for years and years and years. And the Liverpool lads. And to meet Kenny and Ian Rush, had a drink with them the night before. But we went to meet Sean, and Sean's there in his red Liverpool, his all Liverpool gear, and of course it was lovely. I'd met his wife and his children before, and I said to him, "What's the game, Sean? Like, I thought you were an Ireland fan, you know." And of course he said, "Oh, he supports both, you know." And so I'm stood between Rushy and Kenny Dalglish. Somebody says, "Who's your favourite?" Anyway, he looked up at me and shook my hand. So of course I've gone, "Hey!" I said, "You two losers," and all that. I give it to him. I said, that's made my career, that, because to be stood between Rushy and Dalglish and somebody saying I was his favourite, I think he was kidding me on. But anyway, who knows? I think it's on film as well somewhere. But it was lovely. It really. It always sounds strange. I don't want to meet him under those circumstances, but having had to see him and see the family and friends he had around him was quite emotional for us, and lovely to see the support he's got, and the support he got actually from the football family, which on occasions like that it turns out to be, and I thought Liverpool were looking after him unbelievably well, and I think everybody here as well at the FAI should be, you know, a pat on the back for what they did as well.
At the dinner the night before, Mario Rosenstock was one of the acts, one of the turns, as they say, and he did his Mick McCarthy impression, which wasn't bad, to be fair.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. He turned up as Klopp, didn't he? And I think that was his stock in trade one. And I have to say, I didn't think that was his best. He did Robbie, which I thought was brilliant. He did me, which it would appear everybody's got a northern accent when they want one. Phil Thompson, I thought it was brilliant, by the way. He was very, very funny. Just the whole energy he brought to the place when he came running in with that quilted jacket on doing Jurgen Klopp. Funny, I loved it, I really enjoyed it.
And he's not the only one that's doing Mick McCarthy impressions at the moment, because we were at the launch of the Sports Direct summer soccer camps, and one of the mums did her best Mick McCarthy.
She did, yes, and then I had to ask her to do it, didn't I? Because I said, come on then, if you're taking me off, you've got to do it properly. So I got the old, my bum's in bacon slicer one, which she did it pretty well, actually.
And there's more than her doing it at the moment, I suspect.
I'm sure.
Denmark, next game up, there's a couple of thousand Irish fans going to be in Copenhagen, and you know the Aviva Stadium is looking to rock for the game against Gibraltar. What's your message to the supporters going into the summer?
Well, firstly, thanks for the support we got in the first game, because we were at Gibraltar. I mean, and there were people clamouring for tickets, and we didn't inspire anybody in that game, but we won, and that's all you can do. I was asked before, how do you get momentum? Win games. But the performance against Georgia, I think, showed everybody what we're trying to get to and what we're trying to achieve. We played well, we stopped them playing, it was a real aggressive, open atom Irish performance on the front foot. So, and that's what we're going to go to Denmark and try and get. And, you know, whatever the result might be there, we've got to come back, we've got to beat Gibraltar here. And so that'll be, that's all important. But first of all, we've got to try and get somebody in Denmark. And I believe if we play like we did against Georgia with that commitment and that quality, who knows?